Ancient Egypt. Egypt, from the Nine's perspective, would appear to have been born out of the demise of the Altean venture. For humankind, Egypt, together with Sumer, remain fascinating examples of high civilizations which suddenly appeared in the region around the middle of the 4th millennium BC. It is speculation that such a body of knowledge that both Egypt and Sumer possessed was taught to them, rather than developed by them. This chapter is full of astonishing, sometimes controversial information. Reading with care and patience would be beneficial. There is more than meets the eye in many of the sentences. Andrew, is it true, according to Platonic legend, that some of the Atlanteans then brought the desirable elements of the Atlantean civilization to Egypt? For example, I am very curious about the legend of Horus and the winged disc, in which he would appear in what was called a flying disc. Tom, he arrived in a spacecraft. Remember that he was not birthed. In that time he went all over in what you would call a spacecraft. The Alteans were masters of that. And then they went beyond spacecraft, and in their mind they learned how to travel without a craft. Horus, Tahuti, Isis and other leaders taught them. Andrew, what were the arrangements whereby Tahuti and Isis and Horus came together in Egypt to start a new civilization? Tom, they all came simultaneously. Do you understand that they were able to be in different places at one time? Horus came to Egypt and Isis went to Ur, and others were in other places, but they also could be simultaneously together in each place. Andrew, I see. They were interchangeable. How very interesting. Now, many historians have noted the similarity of the cultures of Ur and Egypt. Other people have noticed that there was a similarity also with the Chinese culture. Tom, that is correct. They were founded by the same people. Andrew, and who was involved in China? Tom, the one who had been in the place near South America. Each of them was able to be simultaneously in any place. Andrew, I see. And what other places on Earth were simultaneously being developed at that time? Tom, it was only the 3 places, and it was from these 3 that advanced culture then spread all around the globe. John, I'm very interested in the Great Pyramid and its meaning. Tom, it was the Sphinx that had more to do with the beginning of Egypt. When the day arrives when there is understanding upon the planet, and when the arrival of other civilizations happens, to help the planet, then that will be the day when the full secrets of what you ask will be given. In 1976 Andrew had asked several questions about the pyramids which Tom did answer. Andrew, we have some questions about the Great Pyramid. Could you tell us who first built it? Tom, it was in conjunction, Huva, Ashan, Altea, and also the civilization of Myrex. It was 4 civilizations that raised it. When you ask who built it, you are speaking of the 24 civilizations. Andrew, does that mean that humans did not have any part in the building? Tom, they had a great part in the building. The engineering, the programming was done by the 4 civilizations. The attempting to transfer and transmit the knowledge came from the civilizations. Stonehenge also came from the civilizations. Yes. Andrew, and could you give us the dates when the Great Pyramid was started and when it was completed? Tom, the Great Pyramid, and there were others that were of similar nature, was begun in a time before the destruction of Altea. It was begun approximately 150 years before the destruction of Altea, 13,000 of your years ago, in the colony in which it had been begun. Then, approximately 7,000 years ago additions were made and then it was completed. Andrew, was it originally of a flat-top structure, and then completed as a pyramid, or was it designed originally as a pyramid? Tom, it was originally designed to be a triangle. It was not completed though for a great length of time. It took, from the beginning until completion, because of destruction and changes, 6,000 years. Andrew, I see. I climbed into a very secret part of the Great Pyramid, the chambers above the king's chambers, and found and photographed the signature of the pharaoh Khufu. Cheops, was he the one who completed that particular part of the structure? Tom, it was completed before the understanding came to him. Andrew, you mean the understanding of what the pyramid is about? Tom, yes. Khufu was the reincarnation of the hawk. Andrew, and when did he live? What was the year? Tom, Altea has said it was 6,257 years before the Nazarene. Andrew, yes, thank you. And could you tell us, in whatever way you wish, what the purpose was for building the pyramid, and what is its inner secret that people are so concerned about? Tom, partly, it is regeneration of cells. It channels the energy from the civilizations. The Great Pyramid and other pyramids spiral in energy upward. But also the civilizations bring energy into planet Earth through the pyramids. In the chambers of the pyramids, there are areas which are what you would call rejuvenation chambers. They do preservation of cells. There is more to them, but of this we cannot speak at this time. John: Yes. The other two pyramids beside the Great Pyramid, they are from much later. From what date are they? Tom: They came approximately 1500 to 2000 years after the completion. Andrew: When was the legendary Tower of Babel? Tom: That was in Ur. After the destruction of Atlantis, or was a colony from Atlantis. Its existence was within 200 years of the existence of Pharaoh Khufu. Its destruction was 3,000 years later. Yes. In 1991 Tom answered some more questions about the pyramid. Mickey: Some years ago I asked you when would be the time that you would reveal the secret of the pyramids. So today I ask again whether you can reveal the secret of the pyramids. Tom: The answer comes at this time, your circulations. John: Crop circles, do you mean? Tom: Yes. Upon this planet Earth in relationship to you. In arrangement for your planet Earth, in the maintenance of rotation. The pyramid energy was purposeful in emitting energy for what was circulating about your planet Earth. Once the pyramid contained upon it elements of crystal that emanated an energy outward. The crystal was removed by humankind in their non-thinking mode of operation. In that removal they created a difficulty for the generation of necessary energy for its purpose. Is that clear? David: When you said about the energy of circulation of the Earth, what does that mean? Tom: Have not there visited upon planet Earth, now in recent time, those rings? David: Yes. Crop circles. John: There are further questions about how the pyramids were built, and were they built principally by people from other civilizations with the help of people from planet Earth, or was it done entirely by other civilizations? Tom: Peoples of planet Earth were of marginal importance in understanding the formula for creating this structure. When humankind, is there a word debased? John: Yes, when humankind debased. Tom: Through non-understanding the purpose of its interactions, much of the memory was closeted. John: Yes. One other subject, relating to that, the pyramids in Mexico, were they built for the same purpose and in the same way, or were they human attempts to copy? Tom: There were some created for the observation of those they call gods, to help them come to create an energy field that released sound and color waves upon planet Earth, and there were. How you say? I know not how. There is in your native beings the desire to bring blessings from the heavens, and so the people then create what they believe will bring it down. Guest: A number of people I know of are going to the Great Pyramid to see if they can contribute to opening up its energy. Is this the correct time to do that? Tom: They may open the door a portion, but if it were opened more it would amount to a flooding of energy, and humankind would not comprehend completely. Guest: I understand also. I would like some clarification on how the great blocks of stone were placed in the Great Pyramid. It is my feeling that it was through the use of crystals that the stones were able to be placed on the pyramid. Tom: It was with the benefit of crystal, with the benefit of vocal sound tuned to crystal, with the sound of Om. Do you understand? Guest: Yes. I had a vision of a being sort of on top of the stone, and under someone's command and direction the stone was lifted and placed into place by this system. Is this correct? Tom: Yes, however there were many voices. On March 22, 1993 researchers announced the discovery of a narrow shaft, so small that they had to use a remote-controlled camera to explore it. The shaft was closed off by a secret door. Andrew: How much of the knowledge from Atlantis was given to the early Egyptians? Tom: It was given to the early Egyptians, including the knowledge of medicine, with the exception of the knowledge of what could be done with the sex organs. Also you must understand that the primitive people with whom they worked in the land of Egypt were a very fearful people, because of their simplicity and their unconscious recollection of the destruction, and so they built upon their belief structure a great system of worship. Also they worshipped those that were not of such a good nature, they chose not to mention this, and made them look good, out of fear of being harmed. Andrew: So, for example, Isis was, as I understand it, seen as the consort of Ra, who was one of those not so good ones of whom we are talking. Tom: This is true. Andrew: And Horus was seen as the son of Ra and Isis. So my question is, where does the Hathor goddess figure come in? Because she seems so much like Isis to us in many ways. Tom, the goddess Hathor was a goddess of the night, what you would call a lady of the night. She was a lady that was a consort of all the gods. She was a lady of the evening. You have ladies of the evening in this nation in which you exist. It is the same. Andrew, then how did she become identified in literature as being the wife of Horus? Tom, she was the wife, but of all the gods, she was given a position by the people because she was powerful and because she could control the gods, and there was fear that if they did not worship, there would then be destruction. Andrew, and then there was Sekhmet, a fire goddess. How did Sekhmet, as another feline, relate to Isis and Hathor? These functions are very hard for us. Tom, they were actually sisters. Andrew, I see. And Nephthys, housekeeper to Osiris and friend of the dead, was she in the same category? Tom, it was only the goddess Hathor that controlled the rest, or attempted to. When people did not listen, then she controlled the gods. It is difficult to explain because you do not understand what was brought from the Altean age. Andrew, yes, I was going to ask whether Hathor came from the Altean age, or whether she came from Ultima, or Huva, or where. What's her origin? Tom, she was not from Ultima, but her knowledge was. It was her knowledge of the physical control of others. She came from a species that has been a species for most of existence because it was a mingling of all of the civilizations of the universe. They have the strongest desires for goodness, but also the strongest of physical desires in all the universe. Andrew, well, is she a member of the opposition or, we don't quite understand these things? Tom, she had all the goodness and all the desires. It is two beings. John, it's a total mixture of both. Tom, it may be used by the others, as it may be used by us. It is a sacrifice. It is temptation, do you understand? Andrew, that became kind of law in the universe. Tom, how else could we weed out the physical desires of people and beings and species? If you be trapped in desire, and it sucks you dry, then you are lost, is that not true? We speak here to those that exist on this planet. Andrew, now I understand, yes, okay. And that is her function. Tom, of the goddess Hathor. It has been always, all the days. Andrew, there is an Indian goddess who is perhaps more appropriate, who is called Shiva. Tom, it is always one and the same. Andrew, but Shiva is more clearly spelled out in our literature. Hathor is a mysterious figure. Tom, do you understand why? Because in Egypt, they wanted to placate Hathor, in their minds, so they could believe she would only help them. Thus they made her the wife of the gods. Andrew, thank you for all these things. John, I would like to run through the sequence of transference of civilization after the downfall of Atlantis. You told us, I believe, that the Sumerian was the first civilization thereafter, but I'm trying to arrange in order the Greek, the Chinese, the Egyptian, and the Sumerian civilizations and their periods after Atlantis. Tom, at the time of the destruction of Atlantis, there were colonies. There was first Sumer, there was secondly China, there were meetings at times between the two, do you understand? There was also Egypt. At that time, the Greek culture came last, after the Egyptian. It was not simultaneous with Ur and Egypt. John, yes. The Greeks retained the Atlantean legends more than the others, it appears. Is that correct? Tom, it is truth. Because of the channeling through Plato. Plato was given impressions which prodded his mind, to ring bells in the head. John, yes. When you say the channeling of Plato, I have heard that Socrates was the channel and Plato was the one who recorded it, is that correct? Tom, it was Socrates, but it was the interpretation of Plato which was important. If the full information were given in detail, it would lead to confusion and misunderstanding. But by giving pieces, through assimilation of these pieces and further research and discussion, the knowledge is gained. John, and the man-animal figures of both Greek and Egyptian cosmology. Tom, they came from Atlantis. John, that is the experimentation. Tom, yes. John, in the time of the first Greek civilization, were there any visits at all by the higher civilizations? Tom, yes. The gods. John, well, I understood that the Greek mythology that we have was from an earlier time. Tom, from Egypt, and from Atlantis. But do you understand that Greece also had the visitations from Altea? John, I didn't know that. What form did that take? Was that in space vehicles? Tom, if people had the knowledge of a flame, it came as a flame. Steve, I'd like to know about mythological characters such as Mercury, Apollo, Diana and such. Were these actually physically existent beings on the Earth at some time, or are they, as Jung says, archetypes of the unconscious? Tom, they were physical beings, but archetypal. Steve, in my investigations of correspondences with your communications, I have come upon the Gnostic philosophers, a group of thinkers in the early Christian period. And it seems that many of their ideas correspond to ideas in the communications, particularly the name eons, which I understand has been used for reference to the nine. Are these correspondences correct? Tom, yes.